Self-Advocacy, Part 4. What is one thing that you would like parents to know about having their child work towards independence?
I know you will probably be nervous as a parent or the caregiver to let your child go out into the world with their disability or their special health care needs, but try to support them and find resources to allow them to be independent because they're going to need to be independent when you are at one point in the life or another. So start now building that network, building that support system, and finding ways that they can be independent. Independent does not mean they do everything on their own. Interdependent is okay. And then you build that network and you build that support group and that support system, they should be able to find a way to live on their own.
Help them become independent by starting with the basic stuff, like letting them speak at doctor's appointments, letting them help with medication and seeing how you do the process of that, booking transportation, including them in the process so they know how to do it.
So growing up and whenever I'm at home, usually my parents, they're great and they will do the care. And I think if I'm going to be real honest, and now my siblings help a lot, which is the greatest. I struggled a lot as a kid having that mom and dad relationship while also having that caregiver relationship in a sense. Not that they're not caregivers already, but just figuring out, okay, I I need your care and I need your help. And I think as I've gone to college, my parents more now than ever are more of just my mom and dad, if that makes sense. And that's been really cool to see. So I'm not against parents being the primary caregiver for their child, but I would also encourage them to hire help and to hire caregivers. And I was so against it when I was a kid and my parents brought that up because I thought it was maybe they didn't want to help. And that's not it at all. It's that they want to have that mother and daughter relationship, that father and daughter relationship. And if I could help any parent or child through that process, it's definitely been such a gift just to get to know my parents now as mom and dad because it's just the greatest feeling. I don't even know how to describe it.
Kids with disabilities can go to college. Don't worry as much about them because I think they can handle it, but I think they need more of them not doubting them and more training or preparing them to go to college and be more independent. It might be more difficult, but it's just prepare them to just any other kid, just prepare them to leave. But that don't focus on what other people say too much of what their kids can do either. It's not their kid, it's your kid, and who cares what the other parents say. It's all right.
Not to infantilize them, which is a huge stigma in the disabled community, because infantilization can lead to problematic results later in their life. Because if that is prolonged, chances are that others will not see them, will not see them as adults. So I think it's best to be firm with them rather than patronizing them or sugarcoating information towards their kids or dependents. Education is also another factor to that because the more they know the more they would become experienced on certain situations.
Give them the freedom and the space to do that and to be more independent. It's okay to be in the background, right? And to like kind of do like I do. If I need help, I go to my parents. I'm like, hey, I don't understand this medication, or like, hey, what does this mean? And I have a conversation with them. But in many cases, I'm leading from the front.
A lot of it is letting us have our own journey. I think it's so easy to say, oh, why don't you advocate for that? Or, oh, well, you thought about this now. Shouldn't you have said that 10 minutes ago when we were speaking to the doctor? Like, I think feeling that frustration, but I think it's a journey. And I think it's a lot to go into an appointment, carrying the weight of all the symptoms and the disease and, whatever it may be, plus trying to like think clearly, and you're in a new environment and you don't know what's going to happen. And maybe you're anxious about a procedure they're going to, order, things like that. And I think a lot of it is just letting us have our own journey and kind of giving us the space to advocate. I think encouraging us to ask questions, no matter how silly we may think they sound. They're not silly because it's foreign to us. We want to understand. And I think just being patient with us and helping us in the things that you can, but letting us just try it and just being there kind of to help.
Just that it's important to allow them to speak up for themselves, to help them transition. If you always speak up for them when they are on their own, it's going to be harder for them than if you try to have them come up with their own questions to ask the doctor and let them ask them.
Definitely be there for them and encourage them, and guide them along the way so they know that they're not alone, and definitely encourage them that they have a voice and if they can use it to speak up for themselves.
Don't have low expectations. There are such low expectations in our society for people with disabilities, and they're most times just untrue. People with disabilities are just people, right? Our disability is part of our identity, but we are not inspirational, little sad stories for able-bodied people to, see and feel better about themselves. We're just people, and we have unique things that we have to deal with. Like, everybody has their own unique things in life that are challenges, but I would say don't have low expectations for a person with a disability in your life. Know that, if you idealize a person with a disability, or if you make assumptions about what they can or cannot do, you're being ableist.
I guess it's like important to teach them how to book appointments, because at least for me, when I was scheduling appointments, it was annoying as heck to just schedule them. Like, they constantly ask for your date of birth. I'm like, of course I know my date of birth. What are you talking about? People don't realize that it's like very important, especially from like a disabled person's point of view. It's very hard because I've been like talked down by doctors because they're like, oh, you're mentally unstable, you don't know any better. And I'm like, you don't know any better either, so why are you saying this?
I would say let your child be as independent as they want to be. That was one of the hardest parts for, I think, my mom and I, was with some of my gained independence. She almost kind of felt like maybe her place was maybe she was no longer needed. And that could not be further from the truth. I need my mom. I love her. She's my mom. She's who I call when I'm like, how much bleach do I put in the washing machine? I don't remember. How long do I cook a baked potato? But I think it's important to listen to your kids. I also think it's really important to allow them to be an individual with their independence, and also to really keep in mind that it is their disability journey, not necessarily the parents. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in kind of a disability inspiration type thing, or sometimes parents tend to live vicariously through their children sometimes. And I do worry that once parents realize that their kids age out of certain care, or they go to a different insurance, that they won't be needed. And like I said, that's not true, but you have to let your kids do what they need to do and be independent, because disability already takes so much away from you.
Them let it happen at our own pace, because we already struggle a lot with a disability and being behind. And some of us are, some of us have learning disabilities, and some of us are playing our whole lives to catch up to where the norm is, even though I hate that word because nobody's normal, but playing to where the norm is. So it may take a while, so just be patient. And I know that everyone says, oh, the goal is independence, but some people may need help their whole lives, and just accepting that is the first step. But then also in making them independent in little ways, like, oh, can you put a calendar on your phone to make your own appointments, or can you do this or that, so definitely I would say start in small ways, and let us come to you with our desires.